It is Survivor Wednesday, you guys. We are here to talk about the latest episode. We've got a lot of re-strategizing after last week's vote. The reward challenges with Chinese food, an unlikely alliance between Kelly and David forms. Lauren receives our first medical call, and another crazy tribal. We've got some crazy news segment. We've got a great MVP segment coming up. Do not move a muscle.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's going on, Survivor fans?
Yeah.
It is Wednesday night. I'm here with my beautiful panel. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. I've got the beautiful Veronica Valencia.
Hello, everyone. Happy Survivor Wednesday.
Back from Extinction.
Back from Extinction Island. Welcome back, Veronica.
Thank you.
And I've got the amazing Mike Thieling.
What's up, y'all? Hit me up in the live chat. I am watching. I'm talking with you guys. Our extended panel. Y'all rock.
Mike is amazing because he's always on the live chat and he's got that down. So we want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear your comments about tonight's episode. You guys, we've got a lot of thoughts and a lot of comments. I am Timothy Michael. I am very, very excited to talk about this episode because I really, really enjoyed it. Before we get into this episode, Veronica, I just kind of want to, since you were on Extinction Island last week, what were your thoughts and how do you feel about Joe being voted off last week?
I think it's tough to say because in any ordinary season, voting off Joe would be an incredibly smart move because he is such a challenge threat and a tough competitor. However, with the element of Edge of Extinction and the fact that we still don't know much about Edge of Extinction, at least with Redemption Island, we kind of had an idea of, how it worked and how long people were on there for and how long it actually went till in the season. We don't know anything about Extinction Island, and so it's kind of tricky on who you decide to send there. So I think it was smart in a sense to send Joe home, but at the same time it's like it's tough because you're sending all of your tough competitors to Extinction Island, and who knows, maybe more than one will return, and then that will just be more challenging for your game because then they'll get back at the game possibly at the very end and kind of swoop it up.
Yeah, that's basically what Tim and I said last week. Are you just giving Joe a bunch of time to rest up for the next challenge he's just going to crush and come back?
I mean, the way that I look at it, like last week I said, the door is halfway closed, so it's better than all the way open. That's how I look at it. We are here to talk about tonight's episode, season 38, episode 7, I'm the Puppet Master. We obviously found out who the Puppet Master was tonight, but that switched up very quickly. I want to know your overall thoughts about tonight's episode, you guys.
Yeah, I think I liked tonight's episode. I think this season is getting better. It has definitely grown on me. Like the first 4 episodes, I was very iffy. I just felt like I don't know.
You really were, though.
V-Squared was hating on Survivor so hard the whole beginning of the season.
It was. Well, it was just slightly disappointing because I felt like so much of the screen time was obviously given to the Lesu tribe who just kept losing.
Yeah.
And we didn't see any of our other players. But I think now since the merge, or even a little bit before that, we've started to see gameplay from other people and see, they actually are pretty good at competing in this game and surviving. And I really enjoy that. The beginning was tough. Because there was obviously a lot of stuff that we didn't know, but it's growing on me. It's getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Whenever one tribe is just dominating so hard, it's a less interesting season right off the bat because you don't get to meet all those other people. There's much, much lower stakes, especially for all those people. So now that they're all together, we're seeing a lot of strategy. I thought this episode was awesome, like back on track.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you guys. I think it's really awesome when we see other players who we might not have thought about as our first picks to be like strategic players, and then they start playing and you're like, oh, you've got some ideas, which is really cool.
Right.
But it's hard because there's so many players in the beginning of the game to focus on every single one. Obviously, like you said, Veronica, there's not enough screen time for all of these people. But at the same time, if you're also not making moves, they really can't show anything. So, I mean, they said it kind of tribal tonight. If you're not going to be the passenger, if you're going to be the pilot, you're a passenger. So,
yeah, but even when they split into 3 tribes, the same tribe kept losing. So it's still where you're not getting anything different from the other people that you haven't met yet, basically. I mean, having these people, honestly, until today, to me, Aurora was still basically a stranger.
Yeah.
Maybe last episode, only Victoria and Julie kind of became not strangers. So I think now it's finally picking up.
No, I agree with you, and I love that you mentioned all the female players because those are the players that are really strategizing. I mean, we can look at Kelly, and Kelly's been on the bottom and on the wrong side of the votes for so many times, and she's still here. It's crazy. I mean, I don't want to talk about too much of that right now, but I do want to get into the fact that Kelly, Wardog, and Lauren have to re-strategize after last week's vote because they were, once again, on the wrong side of the vote. Yep. And they are essentially on the bottom of the totem pole at this point. And Ron tells David, his votes came from his own tribe members. And I think what I like about David is that David doesn't take this game personally. He's played it too many times to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to take this personally. No, he's just like, it is what it is. A vote's a vote. I mean, you did what you needed to do in the moment. And if any fan of Survivor knows, it changes from week to week. And that's why we love this game so much. It's not predictable at all. What did you guys think about the re-strategizing that Lauren, Kelly, and Wardog had to do? And do we still like these three players?
I like Kelly and I like Lauren.
Okay.
I can't necessarily...
Why don't you like Wardog?
I think he's bossy in the sense that I don't like how he's playing the game. He's saying, he goes with his alliance saying, this is what we should do and you guys need to do it. And something that happens later on in the episode, which obviously we'll talk about with Rick, is he kind of just tells people how to play their game and expects them to do it. Like, he expects them to vote his way. And I don't know. I just kind of don't like it. It doesn't gel with me.
I understand what you're saying. What I do like about him this episode was that he was still really making an effort.
Yeah.
I think if it wasn't for him, definitely Lauren and to some extent Kelly would be in real trouble, because at least from what they're editing and what we're seeing, they're not really making moves. They're not really making connections and talking to a lot of people. Definitely Lauren. Kelly a little bit more, but Wardog is really trying to make inroads with the rest of the comma. So I like that about it.
Let's be clear. In my opinion, I think that Kelly, Wardog, and Lauren are kind of fighting for themselves. I mean, there's not one that's carrying the other two, and there's not two carrying really the one. I mean, they're all pretty much fighting for their own right here, and I think they're all on an even keel. I do disagree with you, Veronica. I think that Wardog, we've seen other players be very, very bossy and very, very, I don't want to use the word misogynistic, but I'm going to, toward other players because he is closest with some of the girls in this alliance. And I know that Kelly had an issue with him at first, but then she was able to put that aside and say, oh, this is just how he plays. I honestly think that this is just how Wardog plays, and that's just how he is. Because we've seen players before be very abrasive when it comes to being bossy about votes and stuff like that. And I don't really get that vibe from Wardog. I feel like he's just very passionate.
This is interesting. Bria Carter in the chat said Julia said on Twitter that she and Gavin were already planning to flip before Wardog came to them.
It's quite a possibility, but you have to give credit to Wardog for actually, like you said, Mike, he's not giving up. He is always trying to make moves and talk to people.
I like people taking the initiative. 100%. I think he was doing it in a smart way. The people he was talking to, I think, were on the lower end of the totem pole, as we kind of see with the result today. So I like it. I like him taking the initiative. Lauren, I don't know. Lauren, we see what happens to her this episode, but she is a pretty passive player in general. At least I don't see her really trying to make moves and talk to a lot of people. And I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't really seen Kelly reaching out to Kama and trying to edge her way in there.
I mean, we saw in this episode alone, Kelly reached out to, or at least asked Wardog to reach out to Rick, and Rick was not about it. And
but that's still not Kama, though.
Right, but I mean, at least she is trying to get people onto, she is expanding her social game from the last time she played. It might not be Kama at that moment or in this episode, but at least she's trying to expand her social game. Veronica, what do you think?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think she's going with the people who she thinks can be on her side.
Yes.
Obviously, she's going for David because she realizes David is probably still at the bottom, and Devins, even though Devins is completely against it.
That was great. And exactly what you said, Tim, is why I really, really like David, because he's nerdy, right? I'm down with the nerds. But he's really playing with his head, and I like that he's not taking it personal and that he's immediately down to go right back with Kelly.
Yes.
And they've basically been betrayed the entire time.
Yeah.
They've been at each other's throat almost the entire time, and David knows what the deal is. Like, if that's what it is, like, let's go and vote.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this reward challenge because there was Chinese food involved, you guys. And we live in Los Angeles, so the Chinese food out here is not very good. So we were literally
I got my spot, though.
mouth-watering watching these players eat their Chinese food. But the reward challenge consisted of, racing through obstacles in the ocean, getting puzzle pieces, and solving the plank puzzle. They've divided into two teams. Blue was Eric, Wentworth, Rick, Victoria, Julia, and Aurora. Team 2 was yellow, Gavin, Wentworth, Lauren, Julie, David, and Ron. There was nothing crazy about this challenge. There's a lot of yelling from yellow because of David getting the plank stuck. Not much stood out to me. Blue wound up winning. I don't know if anything exciting stood out to you guys in this challenge.
Chinese food was the only thing
That's what I'm saying.
that got my mind going.
I'll tell you what stood out again, this challenge again from last week. No hidden anything with the reward.
Yeah.
Whenever I see everybody gathered around and boxes of food and plenty of places to hide little advantages or something like that, I expect it.
Yeah.
And it's not there. And I'm wondering, Ashley, because Veronica, you and I were talking about beforehand about Extinction Island. I know we're going to get to it, right? What you think of it and their little clues and things like that. I'm wondering if this stuff that we expect normally in these rewards, they're instead shooting over to Edge of Extinction Island.
Well, I was just about to say that. I feel like they're doing so much with Edge of Extinction Island. There's already a lot going on. They still got their hidden immunity idols that they're fighting on the back at their respective camps, and then we've got Edge of Extinction Island with all of their stuff going on. So I think for them to throw in other little hidden things during challenges would just be too much. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts, you guys. Maybe you're like Mike. Maybe you want to see more hidden stuff. But I feel like that's just too much. And then I feel like at that point it makes the game too easy.
Yeah, well, speaking about too easy, kind of going back to our point when we were talking about Edge of Extinction Island, I kind of personally, I don't mind that they have things that they can go out and look for in Edge of in the island. I kind of just don't like that it becomes a big treasure hunt. I feel like it's more telling of your gameplay if you are intuitive enough to say, I should look in this reward and see if there's a clue. I should go look for an odd tree and see if there's an idol or something like that. As opposed to it's like, okay, here's your clue, go out and find it. And some can argue, well, it's, they're smart for figuring it out, which is true. But I feel like it's just like whoever finds it first, not whoever's thinking at that point in the game.
Is it just me, or because I just had a thought while you were talking about this, Veronica, and making it more of like a scavenger hunt, treasure hunt thing, and it's kind of a little weird. Wouldn't it be cool if they had like mini challenges on Edge of Extinction Island and their reward was what the scavenger hunt led to? You know what I mean? Them playing a reward, or them playing a challenge, and then getting a reward, or, to practice on something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of them finding things in the ocean and wine bottles and all this other stuff. We'll get to it, but am I the only one who has this thought?
I thought of that while we were watching this episode tonight. Actually, I just don't think they'll have enough time to show it in an episode.
That's the only thing.
And I agree with Veronica. I understand where you're coming from. It would be cool. The biggest disappointment in this kind of stuff to me would be Reem, because if I'm Reem, I know every square inch of Edge of Extinction Island at this point. She's been there forever, right? So how does she not know like where every rock and pebble is on that entire island?
Something tells me she's not looking around that island very much.
So that's just weird. I'm kind of down for either way. It gives them something to look forward to. Otherwise, they'd probably just be looking constantly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So after the blue team wins their reward, their delicious Chinese food, we see Kelly and David start to form this unlikely alliance because, like you said, Veronica, they've been at each other's throats from the beginning. Mostly more in part on Kelly. Kelly was going after David first, and then it was vice versa, and then it's just been this yin and yang between the two. And what I loved about it is that she apologizes to him, and what I love about David being, I want to say, professional about the game of Survivor, Kelly does the same thing. And I don't know if it is just a vet coming back to play the game so they know not to take things personally.
Right.
But I love it when they are able to keep these doors open because you never know when you're going to need somebody's help or when you're going to need their vote or when you're going to need anything, period. I mean, they could find a fish and share it with you. You never know. So I love it when they keep... Shut up, Veronica. You never know. I mean, you never know. So I like it when they keep the doors open. It frustrates the hell out of me when somebody's like, hey, let's work together. And somebody's like, no, I have my own alliance. What are you doing? It frustrates me. What do you guys think about this?
Is this the Rick thing?
This is the no. Now we'll get there. But I want to know your thoughts on just Lauren.
That was heavily alluding to the Rick thing.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
And we will get there. But I want to know your thoughts on just Kelly and David and how you guys feel about them two working together. And do you think they'll really actually be able to do it?
I think it's smart. I think they both see that the situation that they're in, and I think you're right, Tim. I think yes, you can always, in your little confessionals, be like, I don't trust them, but I'll work for them for this one voting block and see where it goes from there. I think it's important to keep your options open because it's true, like you were saying, Tim, you never know when you will need someone. And I think for Kelly, this is one of those moments where she's saying, hey, I need David in my numbers.
Yeah.
I was surprised that David was so agreeable so fast, or at least we didn't see any private conversation where he was like, look, I'm leaving it open, but I don't trust Kelly at all. We've been against each other the entire time. I found it surprising that it was so quick to go right back together, but obviously that was his gut feeling. He thought he's got very little to no chance going back with Kama at all, so that's what's needed to get to the next level.
But that also has to do a lot with Kelly, because she made a very good argument. I mean, she sat there and she said Lesu needs to come together, or we're just gonna get voted out.
That's true.
One by one. So I think David, as a smart player, was like, you know what, you're right. That's probably why he was so fast to just turn and be like, I'll work with you. So we also see Rick and Wardog, and this is what I was alluding to earlier.
So good.
Is that Wardog wants to, once again, another player that's pretty smart, that's like, hey, let's keep all of my avenues open. Let me talk to Rick and see where his mind is. And at first I was like, oh, Rick might be on board. And then he just turns and he's like, no, I don't want to work with Kelly. She voted for me twice. And I was like, wow, you're really taking this personal, dude. Like, what are you doing?
That was great.
It's
was
insane.
That was great television.
Do you think that he, and like in the tribal council tonight, as Victoria said, do you think he shot himself in the foot?
I did and I didn't. And I did and I didn't like this. What Mike was saying, I agree with Mike was saying. It was fascinating TV to watch because, wow, have I never really seen someone just completely turn around and be so against someone to their face. I'm not working with you. To Rick's point, I understand. Like, why would he want to after how Lesu consistently voted against him? I get it. But it was fascinating to watch because it was just such a big blow up. And at the same time, it's like, dude, you shouldn't do that because now if you're on the odd side of the numbers, no one's going to work with you.
Right.
I was dying. That was amazing. Because Devins is just like, oh, yeah, I totally want to get back the old Lesu together, except I don't want to work with any of you. I was like, that's amazing. It's like, that is amazing. Like, that's the kind of stuff you say to the confessional people.
Yes.
Like, I'm not going to work with them at all. But you tell Wardog to his face, like, oh, yeah, I'm down. Like, yeah, bygones be bygones. Let's get them.
But then it comes back to what you were saying, Veronica, and Rick kind of feels the same way as you did. He feels kind of like Wardog is like barking orders at him, and he wants to just do what he wants him to do. And I'm sorry, I honestly didn't feel like Wardog was coming across that way. Maybe you guys feel differently.
No.
But I felt like Wardog was being very respectful and very like, hey, do you want to work with us and like come to our side?
Right.
He wasn't like, you need to come to our side because they're going to vote you out. It was not aggressive at all.
I don't think so at all. However, even if you do think it is, you're still leaving that door open if you're being a smart player. There's no real reason to shut him out like that because, let's be honest, at the end of the day, he's not going to vote for you if you're in the finals.
Yeah.
Probably just because of this little incident right here. That's probably enough. So there's no reason to have the antagonism. They've already... If you're Devins, you're kind of in the position of power, right? Because you can very easily go with Kama. Wardog needs you. So your little act of forgiveness, even if it's just verbal and coming back together, that's going to score major points kind of all around. And you at least take back some of that power. If you choose to backstab him or use it or whatever, that's fine. But at least have it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then this is when the hard choice that David and Rick have with each other, because they've had a pretty good alliance and a pretty good relationship since the beginning. And this kind of starts off this feud between the two of them. And we forget that David has half of the immunity idol that Rick has. And David smartly goes, you know, I'm not going to give it back to you. And they kind of glazed over it this episode. If we see the preview, they're going to get into it next episode.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised Rick didn't immediately jump down his throat in this episode and be like, no, it's mine. Give it back to me.
Is it his, though? Technically? Because, again, this is like one of those tricky things with the rules where it's like, oh, whoever finds it, it's theirs. But technically, he gave it to David, so it's like if you can assign, it's like that assigning rule.
Yeah.
He had kind of assigned it to David.
I didn't like this at all. I hated this part because I like the two of them together as a team. I really do. Like, someone before in the chat put hashtag team nerd with Mike, and that's right. I like them together. I like them working together, and I really do like David not giving up his half of the idol because that's some power. As we said back in the day when Devins found that, should not have given it to David. That was the wrong move because he had David on his side anyway. So
He definitely should have waited. There were other options that he could have done with it, and I think he went too soon for it, Veronica.
Yes.
Veronica agrees.
Veronica does agree.
I do agree, and obviously there's going to be more chances for us to agree. But before we go on to our next topic, I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for making us the ESPN of TV Talk. But for us to continue to grow, we need your help. If you're on YouTube right now, which I see a lot of you are, hit the thumbs up button.
Because they love us.
Because they love us. You're our fellow tribe mates. You are in an alliance with us, and you don't want to backstab us. Thank you. So if you don't want to backstab us and send us to Edge of Extinction Island, please give us a thumbs up button and subscribe. And if you're on iTunes, please give us that 5-star rating, because 1 through 4 don't work anyway. And that really helps us, everyone. No matter where you are, be sure to leave us a comment so that you can get involved in the conversation. We love seeing all of the theories and all of the strategic thoughts that you guys are putting in the comments, in the chat, on iTunes. We love seeing it all. Please keep talking with us. Being a part of AfterBuzz has obviously meant so much to all of us because we get to be here and talk about Survivor, which we love so much, and we truly appreciate you supporting us. So don't forget to tell your friends and tell them to, and I challenge you to share your content so that way we can get even more love.
Yeah, doing all this stuff is basically giving back our half of the immunity idol.
Yes.
It's well appreciated.
Yeah, exactly. We love you guys. We do this show for you. Mike, do you have maybe some shout outs?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to shout out Eric Olin, who's always given us the thumbs up and came up with the hashtag Nerd Power. And I'd always like to shout out my boy Sheena123, hashtag Mike for Survivor 41. I mean, that sounds good 3 years from now. Absolutely. But the rest of you guys in here, Chels, Ryan, Rebecca, Nathan, love seeing you guys
We
here.
love seeing you guys.
Rebecca Sarah Coffey, sorry, real quick, asked, have I ever played on Survivor? No, I have not.
Speaking of Mike on Survivor,
I would be a winner already.
I would love to know what type of archetype you would be on Survivor, or like how you would play, what kind of game you would play. I would love to see them talk about that.
Yeah,
I'm curious.
Everybody can put in the comments what kind of Survivor they think I would be.
I want to see what you kind of player you think all of us would
Yeah,
be.
that's it. Yeah.
I want to know what you guys think of all of us. Just knowing our personalities through a camera, what you think how we would play this game.
I think I would play extremely different than
Don't
how I am
tell
in real life.
them.
So no, okay.
Don't give them hints. Let our viewers guess things.
Here's
and
how-
maybe they'll take us by surprise.
Here's how I think you would play. I think that you're so smart at this game, you would play too hard and get voted out quickly.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
bird.
That's not to be mean. That's not to be mean. It's just that. It's just how our
I just don't
channel
think they
works.
would know it. No, I don't think I would let on as much.
Oh. Well, back at Edge of Extinction Island, because clearly that's where Mike's going with Veronica. We see that Chris comes back with all the wine bottles, and we alluded to this earlier. There's a riddle about the stakes and rocks, and what I love is about this Edge of Extinction Island moment was that Aubrey was ready. And you know what they say, when you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. And she was ready.
Whoa.
Do you like that?
What is Tim?
you
Yeah.
like that?
You
I
just
wrote
come
it
up with that
down
on the spot
no,
right now?
No,
All right.
it is not. No, it's
That
from
was
RuPaul's
great.
Drag Race.
Why did you just
You're
say
welcome.
yes? That was awesome.
No, I can't take credit for things.
All right.
But what I love about it is that because she's so ready, she finds the clue and she gets to this practice advantage, and she also finds this extra vote for someone that is currently in the game. So she's like in it to win it. She's like, and I'm glad that it was Aubrey who found it, because I feel like Aubrey was one of the toughest people to get sent to Edge of Extinction Island, because she's one of those players that I feel that I was very, very excited to see come back. And I do feel like her time was cut way too short on the show.
It was. Her drive to win this game and her passion to stay in this game is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm having a brain fart. Does she still have her hidden immunity idol?
I think once you get voted out, then
They haven't addressed it, right?
Yeah, we don't know what happens
That's
if you
true.
go to Extinction Island with a hidden immunity idol.
Oh.
That's going to be exciting. Because she didn't use it, right?
No.
I'm not wrong. Okay, yeah.
Oh.
We got
Guys-
some comments. Jasmine
Oh,
says
here we go.
Veronica is an under-the-radar player who's
Yeah.
a big threat during the merge.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Jasmine.
Thank you, Jasmine.
But everybody is pretty much unanimously agreeing that I would win. So,
Oh.
doesn't matter. That's not true. That's not true. I'm kidding.
See, I don't know why I believe you ever. So let's talk about this immunity challenge very quick. They have the balance on their toes. We've seen this challenge before. They've got to do the wedge between their head and the frame. If they fall off, they lose. What?
No, it's just funny.
Oh.
Thing in the head and frame,
Yeah. Well, I don't
Balance.
want to talk about the. You guys saw the episode. Wardog, Eric, Gavin, Kelly, Rick, Julia, Ron, and Julia, they were out pretty quickly. And then it was down, 25 minutes later, down to David, Victoria, Aurora, and Lauren. So once again, very female dominated. Good for them. And then all of a sudden we see Lauren, and she's sitting there, and she's like, I'm feeling really dizzy. I'm really, really dizzy. I think I'm about to pass out. I'm passing out. Like,
that was
literally-
amazing.
crazy.
And nothing has ever been narrated so accurately. I'm dizzy. I'm very dizzy. I can't see anything. I'm about to pass out. And immediately it was like, done. I was like, wow.
I think what made me mad about this, though, was she saying it out loud, and Jeff not once
That was so
walked
strange.
over there
Walked
and
over
was
there.
like, or maybe said, hey, Lauren, like, maybe you should take a step down, or like, hey, can we have medic on, like, standby just in case she does pass out, or somebody to catch her, something.
I was gonna say maybe they were, because clearly there's an audio engineer there hearing what she's saying, so maybe they did and it just didn't make it into the edit.
Yeah.
But that'd be smart, obviously, because she's saying how she's feeling.
See, there's definitely an audio engineer there, but I wonder if they're really supposed to interact with Jeff. And I'm thinking Jeff cannot hear her because they're mic'd, right?
Yeah.
Probably in the structure. And so if she's kind of whispering it, I bet he couldn't hear her at all.
Yeah,
But it's weird that something didn't happen with crew.
Yeah, and I just like, because she was so high, and she fell hard, you guys. Like, it was really hard. And the fact that she passed out wasn't the issue. The fact is that she hit the ground so hard that she could have gotten seriously hurt. So I was just worried that whoever did hear her, a sound engineer, maybe gave a red flag to the medics, or whoever, couldn't have been like, hey, we need to pull her out before she falls and gets seriously hurt, because that could have happened. Like, she could have got seriously hurt.
Did either of you think, or any of you guys watch us right here, anybody think, hey, this challenge didn't need to be 5 feet in the air? They could just be standing on the, like, really close to the ground, bouncing on their tippy toes. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I think about. I think about that, and I also think if, of course, Joe wasn't in it, but if you're Joe or you're one of the girls, don't you, like, real quick before the challenge starts, like, with your hair and make a little bun on top and then just put the little block on top of the bun?
I feel like that might have been what Joe did in his season, but he lost that challenge anyway.
Yeah.
His first season, guys.
Yeah.
You remember that?
I don't, yeah.
Because that was
She's like,
She could be lying right now. I'm just like, all right.
probably, yeah.
That's right.
season 30.
So Aurora winds up winning the immunity challenge, but not after she has this whole thing with Victoria. And I don't know about you guys, but that point got on my nerves. Like, Lauren just passed out, and Aurora, just ruthless, is not even like, is she okay? No, she's like, Victoria, I need this. I was on the bottom of the vote. Like, give it to me. Just, like, let's make a deal. And I was like, maybe you should just play the game.
Nope, loved it. I loved
Did
it.
you?
Two
Yep,
things.
Yep.
Two things for me. One, there was a lot going on during this challenge.
Yeah.
It was very hard to
Yeah.
figure out what I needed to pay attention to. And two, I mean, I don't really necessarily remember the reaction from the people who were already out of the challenge, but I was very surprised that neither Victoria or Aurora kind of lost concentration for a second when they heard Lauren's fall to the ground, because like we've been saying, she fell very hard.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that didn't break their concentration at all.
Yeah.
And if it did, I think it should have stopped the challenge.
Yeah.
To make sure that she was okay. I was very surprised that they didn't budge at all.
Yeah.
And to your point, Tim, I think this was crazy, but at the same time, I get where Aurora's headed, where her head is. She felt like she was on the wrong side of the vote, and she wanted to ensure that she had safety.
Yeah, but then play hard. Don't sit here and try to have somebody give it to you. I don't like it when they try to sit here and like bargain with these immunity votes, because I'm like, at the end of the day, you kind of want to put this on your resume and say, hey, I fought for it, instead of, hey, they gave it to me. You know what I mean?
I might be coming at this from a different perspective, because correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think either of you guys watch Big Brother.
I do.
You do? Then you know this is a huge Big Brother move.
Oh, of course. And I hated it on Big Brother, too.
You hate it too?
Yeah.
I don't know strategically if I love it, but I like the hard gameplay. And it's very rare. We don't see a ton of bargaining in Survivor like we do in Big Brother.
No.
So, look, I think first concern is health. If they haven't stopped the challenge, I think, unfortunately, however you want to look at it, you got to keep playing as if you're playing like that's it. Sorry, they're not stopping it, so we got to keep playing. And this was an opportunity for Aurora to test her alliance and see where she's at. I don't know. I liked it. I like anybody playing hard.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I get it. I mean, I just have this, I guess, old school mentality where I'm like, if you're gonna play to win. and don't expect somebody to give it to you.
I like to see it on Big Brother too. You don't like it?
No,
I like
I
it when
hate
they
it.
do it. I like
I
to see
hate
the
it.
strategy.
But Aurora wins. She wins immunity. She also finds the extra vote from Aubrey.
Boom.
So she has all of this power to play with in
Awesome.
this episode.
I am very curious because again, we just see that Aubrey got this advantage. I'm very curious if she had conversations with Joe because Joe would be the one more so to be like, give it to Aurora
Yeah.
because he was her one ally.
I agree.
She was his
Yeah.
ally.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
That's a good point.
That's a great
I'm glad
point.
that you brought
Yeah.
that up, but I'm pretty sure that happened because how else would Aubrey know to give it
Yeah.
to Aurora? You know what I mean? So now we're all scrambling. We've got the comma 7 strong. That's what they're calling themselves, and they're thinking about splitting the votes between Kelly and Lauren. And at that moment, I was like, what if Kelly and Lauren both played their idols? I thought that would have been epic. I thought that would have been so cool.
I was
It would've
hoping
been
for
cool.
it too.
Yep.
Yeah. But then we see Kelly and David, and they're strategizing. They're talking about how they're going to be next, and how Wardog is talking to Julia and Gavin, and he's trying to find cracks. Once again, Wardog will not give up. He is all about trying to find cracks, and that's when he talks to Julia and plants this seed in her
Yep.
head about, hey, Eric and
Cardigan Ron
are just playing all of you. They're just taking you guys along to vote you out. And Julia is smart enough of a player to say, hey, actually, he might have a point.
Yes. I want to hit real quick something we glossed over. You know, the comma 7 had their little powwow down by the ocean, and somehow Cardigan Ron and Eric have convinced everybody, theoretically, in their minds at least, to stick together to get to the family visit.
Yeah.
We've never seen this happen before, that a family visit being used as a tactic to keep the alliance together, which to me as an outside player is so dumb if
Yeah.
I'm one of the other people. I say, honest, and again, I know I'm really cold-hearted. We talked about the family visits before on the show. I'm cold-hearted. I don't care if my family member comes to see me. I want to win the money.
Yeah.
So that was amazing to me that they actually convinced maybe 5 other people that this is a good reason to stay strong and loyal so we can see the family. Who cares?
Veronica.
It's funny that you bring up the family visit because that actually ties into the news that I have for this week.
Oh, yeah, and we're going to get to that because I'm
Yes.
very excited. But I completely agree with you. I thought that was a complete manipulated tactic, and I didn't like it. It was definitely like this power, like, ego.
So
like
odd.
It was just weird, and I didn't like it either. And clearly Julia didn't like it either, and neither did the rest of her tribe.
Yeah.
Because then we get to Tribal, and, you know, Tribal is always very interesting when Jeff singles out different players and to hear about their talking points. And you could immediately see that it's pretty much Ron and Eric versus Wardog, Kelly, and essentially David. Lauren was kind of just being quiet again. And essentially, if you think about it, it's old Lesu versus like old Kama. And in this moment, we're like, okay, well, what's going to happen? And I
Minus
think-
Devins.
minus Devins. But what I loved about this Tribal is that Ron and Rick had these like very smug looks on their faces. Like they knew what was going to happen. They were like, oh, we've got this. It's
Yeah.
in the bag.
Yeah.
And I don't know where all this this power trip came from, where they thought, oh, we're strong and we're good and all this stuff. And
I mean, the group talk down by the ocean. I mean, it seems like they were really, really sure that original alliance was going to stay strong.
Yeah.
Devins is super solid with all the smack that he was talking. It would be amazing if he was just lying and was going to go right back with Wardog. I would love that,
Yeah.
but not happening. So it's just that crazy overconfidence. And I feel like in recent seasons, they've been doing this a lot. Somebody we barely see at all, Cardigan Ron, right? Out of nowhere, he's all of a sudden the kingpin and basically like running everything.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Where did this come from?
yeah, I mean, like Victoria says, everyone has the ability to take control of this game, but it's who stands up to do it. That's who's going to take control of the game. And I mean, kudos to Cardigan Ron, as we've called him, for stepping
cardigan.
up.
I love it. Don't care.
Cardigan, best, whatever. Kudos to him for stepping up and taking control of his game and the game. But at the same time, that always comes with consequences. It's always going to put a target on your back. And especially the people who are working closely with you. And in this case, it was Eric, who was his right-hand man. And, his own tribe thought it'd be the smartest thing to separate them. So Eric gets voted out. And I mean, it was a nice exit. He was like, it was a good move. And he immediately decides to go to Edge of Extinction Island. So good for him.
He's strong.
I mean, yeah, I expect everybody to go to Edge of Extinction Island at this point. I mean, you already
You hear that, Keith?
know what's
You
going
hear it?
on. I mean,
Oh my gosh. The two people who voted for Eric that surprised me the most was probably Gavin and Victoria. I would have thought that Gavin and Eric were more of a
Absolutely.
pair. And obviously Victoria worked with them very strongly, had a good bond with them when they voted out Aubrey.
Yeah.
So I was surprised that those two flipped.
Well, just like you guys, both of you said when we were watching the episode, they're really taking extra steps, it seems, this season to not clue us into what's going to happen for the final tribal. Because when they talked to Victoria about the possibility of switching to Eric or Ron, she was dead set against it. And they said there was no crack in her whatsoever about doing that. And it turns out she votes for them. So
I also think that Wardog had a lot to do with, flipping certain people because, like I said, he talked to Julia and that kind of set off a chain of events.
Right.
And then he went and talked to Gavin. And like you guys said, Gavin and Eric were pretty tight.
Yeah.
So for Gavin to flip on Eric, I mean, he's going to come back with a vengeance, especially for Gavin. Sorry, Gavin.
It's going to be good to see him and Joe go head to head.
That's true. I mean, but there are 3 other people. I mean, there's Chris, there's Joe, and now there's Gavin. 3 strong players. But I'm not really even going off of who are the strongest players on Edge of Extinction Island because we saw Rick came back out of nowhere.
That's true.
And Aubrey seems like she is passionate. Like you said, Veronica, she's got this fire in her.
Yeah.
And I'm not discounting anybody. I mean, Reem can come out and, put her sulking aside and decide to do like, I don't know, you guys, I don't know. We don't even know what's happening with Edge of Extinction Island.
Reem is making a permanent structure on Edge of Extinction Island. She's going to live there when the show is over. She's not doing anything.
That's exactly where she's going to live. Okay, that is our review, you guys, of Season 38, Episode 7. I'm the Puppet Master. Unfortunately, Ron is no longer the Puppet Master. Any last thoughts, you guys, on the episode as a whole?
Great episode. Keep getting better.
Great episode. Shout out to everybody in the chat who expressed the same feeling I've been having for a while, and I'm sure my fellow panelists are as well. Bring back Survivor Auction. That is an awesome challenge.
I love Survivor
Auction.
Everybody loves it, and the gross eating challenges.
Let's go. Challenges. That's always my favorite. Alrighty, guys, we're going to go into our favorite segment, our MVP segment of the episode. Let's get into that very quickly. I've got some amazing MVP segment music just to get you guys in the mood. Alrighty, first vote. Devins, a.k.a. Rick. I call him Rick. I don't know why you guys call him Devins.
They call him Devins.
They do call him Devins. I just call him Rick. I don't know why. Second vote. Lauren. I don't even know if you guys can see these. The paper's so yellow. I'm not even going to hold them up anymore. And the third vote is Julia.
Wow.
So we're all
nice.
We're all. So we've got Devins, Lauren, Julia. Veronica, who did you vote for?
I voted for Lauren. I think this episode just showed how strong of a competitor she is and how much, even though she is very malnourished and she can't even eat the rice, it just goes to show how like Aubrey, how much of a drive she has to keep going in this game, and I really respect that.
Yeah.
Yep, I voted for Devins because I don't think it was a smart game move, but it made for awesome TV watching him tell Wardog to just kick rocks. I was like, that is gangster. Like, no one ever does that, so I loved it.
I voted for Julia. I think that once she had that conversation with Wardog, like I said earlier, she's one of the smarter players to sit here and say, hey, I'm going to listen to this guy's opinion and it might be right, and put my ego aside and say, you know what, I'm actually going to listen to you and make a big move, and now she could put this on her resume. So, and like we said, it's nice to see other people show their strategic abilities.
This was tough. I could have made an argument for a lot of MVPs this episode. This was really, really good.
There was a lot of good players.
Because there was a lot of strategizing going on, which is great.
I want to give a shout out to all of our MVPs who are joining us in the live chat, especially Royal15, who is pumped for Veronica's News and Gossip.
Yes, which brings us into our next segment, News and Gossip. Veronica, go ahead and take it away.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Yes. So, I was scrolling through Twitter like I do, and I came across a wonderful article on Entertainment Weekly that basically kind of interviewed the majority of the contestants, or all the contestants of this season, and asked them, what is something you would remove from Survivor, or like what is an advantage you would love to have in the game, or like what kind of season would you like to see? And there were some really fun standout answers. It's funny that the family visit got so much attention this episode because that is something that Aubrey brought up in her answer. She would get rid of the family visit because she personally feels like people only play to get to the family visit, they don't play to win. Which,
where did that come from? Wait,
don't go on Survivor. You can see your family the whole time.
But is that a thing?
I never thought that. No, see, here's the thing. I never thought that was a thing. I would sit here and say I want to make it to the family visit because that's a benchmark. It's like I want to get past the first vote. I want to make it to the first swap. I want to make it to the merge. I want to get to the family visit. Right. I would say I want to make it to the family visit in that sense. I wouldn't go on Survivor to say I only want to go on so I can see my family and be content. I wouldn't.
I guess, but I would just say I want to make it to the final 2. And then I will have hit every Survivor milestone you can do.
Exactly.
I don't know.
And some other good standouts, Lauren, Wardog, and Gavin all had a similar idea of they would want to see some kind of regional seasons, like North, South, East Coast versus West Coast kind of thing.
Like American Civil War
Literally,
Survivor.
it would be called American Civil War.
North
versus
versus
South.
South.
Yeah,
Oh my
coast
God.
to coast. It'll be like something like that.
And something I really enjoyed that was brought up by Keith, although he didn't play the best game on Survivor that we kind of saw, he did bring up a very good advantage idea.
No swimming.
He came up with the idea of like whenever there's a tribe swap, you have the ability to choose your own tribe or like not have to swap tribes. And that makes a good sense because sometimes in a tribe swap, you're at the very bottom and you could use that advantage to put yourself in a place where you feel like you can take advantage of the numbers or something.
But that could cause wildly uneven tribe numbers. If everybody chooses
What if it was a reversal?
to go one?
What if you just reversed? Say like, oh, Tim is on that tribe. I like Tim's new tribe better. Tim, swap with me.
But
It
then
could be
someone
what
would
if
have to have the power to do that because Tim wouldn't be able to say no.
Right, but wouldn't I be like, no, I don't want to swap with
Right.
you?
That's the advantage, though.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like
advantage.
stealing someone's reward.
Okay,
I
advantage
see what you're
reward.
saying. Oh, got
Okay,
it,
not
okay.
just a regular swap.
Got
I
it.
just thought
No, it's
when
an advantage.
Got it.
when you were reading all those off, I just thought it'd be cool to see winners from the U.S. and from other survivors around the
Yes,
world, a
that'd be
big
cool.
like ultimate survivor. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd
yeah.
be cool. I would like that. They just did that on Project Runway All Stars, where they brought a whole bunch of Project Runway winners from all around the world to compete.
That's cool.
I think
I
that's
would
cool.
love it.
I would love that for Survivor.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I would love to do is take away all the hidden immunity idols.
Really?
Yeah, I think that it's
But don't tell them, so they
that's
still
right.
look.
Exactly,
Oh,
exactly.
that's
Don't
Yes.
tell them because then everybody would still be looking, and then everybody would be paranoid that somebody has it or somebody already found it. But lo and behold, they were never in the game.
That's amazing.
I think it's pretty
and
cool.
Jeff has to
Funny.
keep it up like at tribal, like if there are any hidden immunity idols, like play them now. We're like, someone's got it. It's
Someone's
out
got it
there.
all the way
so
till the
good.
end.
Good
Oh,
one,
that'd
Tim.
be so good.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I would take away.
Why doesn't CBS hire us?
I don't know. We should be writing for the show.
Come on,
You
guys.
Replace Jeff Probst with the three of us.
Exactly, exactly. That is our news and gossip. Veronica, thank you for that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I want to get very quickly into predictions, you guys. We got like about
Your
30 seconds.
AfterBuzz TV
Wow.
predictions.
I know, no pressure.
I don't know that I really have any predictions. I'll just say I'm really, really excited to see what the big hubbub is at Tribal next week because Jeff is like, oh, I've never seen that. Like, so.
And Aubrey's face was like,
I hope it's not. I hope they're not building it up.
It was like
That was,
oh my gosh.
That was perfect.
You guys, I hope they're not building it up and it's something legit.
Yeah, I am excited to see the feud between David and Rick kind of like come to a head. I wonder where this like custody of the hidden immunity idol is gonna go. I'm excited to see where that goes.
the custody.
The custody battle.
Someone in
of the
chat
hidden-
earlier said they're just never gonna bring it together. It's
No.
just it's
So
probably
it's
just
pointless.
gonna
It's pointless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just say that I think Kelly and Lauren and Wardog have found new life in this game.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. You guys, that is our review of season 38, episode 7. We hope you enjoyed it. We loved interacting with you guys. Keep up the interactions throughout the week. We want to see your comments. Tweet at us. You guys, where can our fans find you?
Of course, hey everyone, Veronica Valencia here. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at it's me, Veronica_V.
And guys, I'm Mike Thieling. You can find me everywhere at Mike Thieling.
And I am Timothy Michael. You can find me everywhere at I am Timothy Mike. We will see you guys next week, same time, same day.
Woo, I'm gonna have Chinese food.
Bye, guys.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.